Hello everybody, welcome back. Today I want to address this overwhelming positivity here on YouTube, especially in the instructional section of it, about how everybody can play an instrument, everybody can do it, you can do it too, you can do it in 5 minutes, and we seem to simply gloss over all the perfectly good reasons why playing music is not for everyone, and maybe is not for you. You might have some great reasons which people tend to dismiss as excuses, but they're actually great reasons. So today I'm going to give you a few of them, and so you can feel a bit better about thinking that maybe picking up an instrument is not something you should do. And the first thing I think is that it's hard. People say, oh, it's hard to play guitar. Well, it is. No matter what some of these people on YouTube want to think, it's hard to play music, it's hard to play the guitar, it's hard to play any instrument. The guitar maybe even more so, because the first day you get a guitar, you try to put your fingers on the strings and you try to move the first one and the third moves, and then once you actually get them on the strings, they hurt, and then you try to figure out the left hand, but your right hand goes out of whack, and then you figure out the right hand and your left forgets everything. So it's really hard, and once you get better, which eventually through struggle you might, then your standard gets a bit higher too, and so it keeps being hard. And I've been playing for a long time, tens of thousands of hours and decades, and it's still hard. It never gets easier, which is the crazy thing. So I think if you find it hard, it's a perfectly good reason not to play. The other thing strictly tied to how hard it is how time-consuming it is. You know, it takes time to learn an instrument, and we're all busy, you know, we're all spending our hour a day scrolling on Instagram. We can't kind of, you know, not do that, right? And we have our favorite TV series or movies, and sometimes we just like to lay back on the couch doing nothing because we kind of deserve it. And so how hard it is and how time-consuming it is, I think is a perfectly good reason for you not to pick up an instrument. Another thing people talk about often is how expensive it is. After all, you know, you see people like me, and I have my signature guitars and my wall of amplifiers, and sometimes on YouTube, you know, you see people with their studio and their big guitar collection in the back. And yes, it is true, you do need all that gear to play, because you might say, well, I could probably get away with buying a $200 nice guitar and maybe a little amp, even a couple of pedals, maybe if there's a pedal that really interests me. But that's not the same, really, is it? It's not the same to play on a cheap guitar instead of having like 5 good ones. It's not going to sound the same way. As a matter of fact, I dare you to give a cheap guitar and cheap gear to a great guitar player. You know, they're not going to play that well, you know, because they need their expensive gear. So again, it's a perfectly good reason. You know, you probably do need your 15 pedals and your 5 guitars and your big Marshall stack. I don't know what I would do without the Marshall stack. Probably I would not be able to play the way I play. So again, I'm with you 100%. It is expensive to get a guitar and, you know, get started with it. So you do have absolutely my sympathy there. Another thing I hear a lot, and it's often dismissed, like, oh, no, we can all do it, which is that we are too old. Some students or some beginners think, you know, I would love to play guitar, but I think I'm just too old for it. You know, maybe you're in your 30s, in your 40s, you know. I mean, after the 30s, I think that's when you might as well, you know, sit on the couch and wait for sweet death. I don't think there's any studies anywhere that say we can keep learning as we get older. And I've had students in their 70s, even the 80s. I had a couple that were in their 80s when they started, and they made the best students. They were absolutely motivated. They were there because they wanted to. They had this dream of being able to do something like this, you know, in their later years. They studied great. They actually gained a lot of dexterity, a lot of neural connections with their brain. They were telling me like, oh, now that I play an instrument, it's easier for me to remember certain things. In the kitchen, you know, they knew where they had left their stuff. So, you know, there are exceptions. There are exceptions like that. Also, I have a lot of students in their 60s, again, extremely motivated. But that's kind of the exception, you know, and that's like the outliers. Usually, once you hit 30 or 40, forget about learning anything new. I hope you don't, you know, have your sights there, because imagine being 30 and decided you wanted to learn how to ski, right? That would be impossible, or play tennis, or God forbid, swim, you know. Don't try to learn swimming after 30, you know. That could be deadly. And so again, age is absolutely 100% a valid reason, not an excuse, but a reason for you not to pick up an instrument. So I would say maybe 25, let's be generous, let's say 30, all right, like we said before, and that's your line there we don't want to cross. If you're older than 30, sorry, an instrument is not for you. Another reason that I often see dismissed as an excuse is that I have no talent. I have no ear. I can't sing 2 notes in a row. I can't sing 1 note in tune. I can't hear, when I listen to a record, the difference between a bass guitar and an electric guitar. I just, I don't have any talent for music. And again, perfectly good reason, because if you want to be a musician, the truth is you have to start as a musician. You can't think that, oh, now I don't know anything about music, but by practicing and doing the work, then I will slowly gain that knowledge. I will gain a better ear. I will gain a better understanding of how things sound and why they sound like that, and I can learn the theory behind it, and it will all make sense. No, you cannot do that. As a matter of fact, unless you're born a musician, it's pretty much impossible for you to learn that a major chord is made up of a root, a third, and a fifth. It sounds easy, right? Now I'm saying it, you probably already remember it, but it's not really true. You can't learn that C major is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, the white keys. How will I know that it's the white keys if I'm not born a musician, right? It's absolutely true and absolutely understandable. It's kind of like saying, I want to be a runner, but I wasn't born running, and so what do you want me to do? I can train all day, but I will never be fast. As a matter of fact, if you watch the Olympics, none of those runners train. You might think they do, they don't. The ones who train are the losers. They'll never get anywhere. The good ones never train. They're just born with it, and they just run faster than everybody else, and they swim faster than everybody else, and they play guitar better than everybody else. So we are a select group, and unless you're born into it, it's really hard to access it. So again, if you think you have no talent, and if you think you are at a disadvantage because you're not born with perfect pitch, that kind of stuff, then again, it's a perfectly good reason for you to give up on your dream of playing an instrument. And the final thing I have to say that I hear a lot is, what will people think of me, right? What will my parents think of me if you're younger, such as when I started? Or what will my kids think of me? What will my spouse think of me just locking myself up in a room 1 hour a day for no apparently good reason, where I could be doing stuff that's useful, and instead waste my time practicing scales or a little song that sounds like crap? And again, I'm with you 100%, because I think what people think of what we do far supersedes our intention and our motivation to do it. So if you feel that you really want to play and you really want to get into music, but what will they think, right? Whoever they is, even the they inside your head, because we all have our little devils in our heads that seed doubt, well, then it's true. It's true. The opinions of others, and even our projections of their opinions, even when they don't exist, but we project them to have them, is absolutely important. It's vital to our survival. And so I would say, follow that voice. If that voice says you're not worth it and you shouldn't play, I would say don't play. 100% I'm with you. And so these are the things I wanted to share. And it's easy to motivate people and tell them they can do stuff, and they're just empty words. But these are the real deal. And so if you listen to this video literally, I think you will find that I'm 100% correct. And if you maybe see below a little bit, you will find that I'm also 100% correct. Who knows, right? I'll leave it up to you. And I thank you so much, as always, for being there. And I'll see you in the next one.